Bismillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back for the reading group on philosophy of religion in Islam. So in this session, I would like to discuss the last three texts from the part one on religion and reason. And I don't know if you had the chance of reading the text. So there's three texts. The first is by Al-Fārābī, the second by Ibn Ṭufayl, and the third one by Ibn Rushd. And the way I'll go ahead, I'll summarize quickly the three texts, and then we can just enter into discussions, inshallah. So the first text by Fārābī, what I enjoyed, he's trying, enjoyed. What was interesting, he puts a hierarchy in religion, and he puts philosophy on top, and the theory on top, and the practice at the bottom. And he equates theory with demonstrative philosophy, and he equates practice with theology or jurisprudence. So he says that demonstrative philosophy comes before or is the source of the theology and the jurisprudence. What he means by demonstrative philosophy is just by using your reason, you should be able to achieve truth. And from that truth, you can derive religion and religious rulings. Like by religion, I mean you can derive understanding of the world, both material and immaterial, as well as jurisprudence, deriving rules for the living. So he puts religion, like the practice of religion, the rules of religion, like Sharia, quite at a lower scale. And he said that this is mainly persuasion for the commoners who does not have the time nor the capacity to understand, to delve into philosophy. He also said that if the philosophy, so the higher, the source, is excellent, then the religion is true, and the people are well guided by that Sharia. He also said that whoever refuses the philosophy, so the source, it's for two main reasons. It's either because they're not capable of understanding it, so they would just dismiss it, or because they are corrupt. And that's the only reason for him why you would refuse philosophy. And again, by philosophy, he means using your own rationale to make sense of the world. So that's the position of Fārābī, the way I understand it at least. And then if I go to Ibn Ṭufayl, for him, before giving the story of Hay, Absal, and Salman, he says that the philosophy can talk about, or the philosophers, he equates philosophers as people, to people who talk about colors, for example. You can describe the color, you can explain what the color is, but it's different from someone who have witnessed that color. It's like describing the taste of honey and tasting honey itself. So he says that the philosophers can describe the thing as it is, but it's not the same as experiencing it. And the one who experiences it, you can understand it's the Sufi. That's how you would understand it. So he puts a clear difference between philosophers who are here just to use the rationale to explain things, and the people who actually experience that thing. So in that dichotomy, in that distinction between the two, he says the people who experience, that he call it intimacy with God, either they cannot describe it really, because it's not something you can describe with words, because it's something beyond the words even, or they typically try to hide it by shyness or humbleness, which is why he said typically people who experience that intimacy with God, with Allah, you will never really hear them talking about it, or always in metaphorical terms. So he put this as the prelude at the beginning of his story. In his story, he put three fictitious characters: Hay, Absal, and Salmon. So Hay is someone who lives in an island. He's quite smart, but he was never educated. He lives and develops himself on his fitra, let's say. And he achieved intimacy with God. It's like an awliya, if you want. And that person one day encountered Absal. Absal come from another island, ended up here for whatever reason. But Absal, he, on the contrary, was trained. He went through a religious education, proper education, the true religion, and he tends to be more of ascetic, Absal. So it's someone who learned the religion, practiced the religion, traditional religion, but prefers to be alone, secluded. And that's in comparison to the friends of Absal, Salman, who also went through like traditional religious education, but he's more on the Salafi side. So Absal is more on the Sufi-ish side, Salman more on the literalist, Salafi side. But they both went through formal instruction. So you have Hay, the guy who like lived in the forest and became awliya. Absal and Salman, who were trained. Absal the Sufi and Salman the Salafi. So these are the person, the characters. And it turns out that Hay meets Absal, and they discuss with one another, and they realize that they both agree, they both worship the same God, and they follow the same religion. It's just different. One was trained, the other one discovered it by himself. So one is like an awliya, the other one is more like a messenger. Hay, the awliya, and Absal, the messenger, like the prophet. So Hay was surprised to hear that from Absal that most of the rulings of the religion turns out to be about material concerns, like about marriage, about debt, about inheritance and others. And he said that maybe these rulings are to regulate our indulgence within the world because of our weaknesses. But still, he discussed with Absal, and he's like, okay, maybe your people need to know who God is the way I discovered it. So they go back to the original island where Absal and Salman grew up, and Hay is determined to teach people about experiencing God. And when he starts teaching the Absal's friend, he realizes that as soon as he starts talking about esoteric meaning, or taking the verses metaphorically, the people leave him. It's like, no, this is too much. We cannot go that far. And so he sees himself inadequate or not able to teach people how to experience God, because these people are too imbued with materialism. And after a while, he just gives up. He said, okay, I cannot like convert your people to the truth of God. And goes to Salman, the Salafi, and say, I apologize, because at that time, no, Salman became the king of that island. And he apologized for creating some dissension, some dispute within the community. And he just leave them alone. And which is funny, at the end, Hay stayed, decided that because I cannot teach people how to experience God directly, let me learn from these people. So he started learning about these people and discovered that, quote, they destroy each other for the trash of this world. That's how he described the people. Because they were too delighted within themselves, they were too imbued within themselves and not able to even want to experience God directly. They just end up being bothered with material things and end up destroying each other for just mundane items. So that's the story of Hay, Absal, and Salman. And through that story, Ibn Ṭufayl is trying to teach us that you can have three positions within Islam. One is the Salafi, who will take the text literally and stick to the rules and focus on the rules. The other one is the more Sufi, like Absal, who also follow strict religious teachings, but lean more on the spiritual side, trying to develop the spirituality, but not to the point of achieving what Hay has achieved through his own realizations. So that's how Ibn Ṭufayl tries to put people in these three categories. The one who knows God by himself, the one who learns about God and tries to focus on spirituality, the one who learns about God through the religion and focus more on the rulings, the Salafi one. So that's Ibn Ṭufayl. And then the third text, Ibn Rushd, so he tries to respond to some accusation. One of them is the use of kalam, the use of that philosophy in religion. And he says that to counter that argument or that critics, he said that the fact that the verse can call for investigation of the natural world means that it's an obligation actually to investigate the natural world. And for that, he's building the argument, and that's the first step of the argument, to justify philosophy. So the first step is to say, look at the Quran. The Quran tells you to look at the sky, look at the mountains, look at the she-camel, the camel, so on. Because God asks you to look at the world and investigate that world, investigation becomes obligatory upon you. Then, if you use that investigation in jurisprudence, so to derive rulings, Sharia, then you should use the same investigation to derive understanding through reason, including that the philosophy side. So if you engage in philosophy, for him, it's like engaging in jurisprudence. In both cases, you use your intellect. In both cases, you investigate the world to make sense of it. So why criticizing one and not the other? If you accept one, you should accept the other. So that's his argument to justify the use of philosophy or the use of kalam. And then he says, okay, now I cleared up the path. You're allowed to delve into philosophy, but you cannot know everything by yourself. You need a teacher. Because the amount of knowledge is so vast, you need a teacher. Even if that teacher is from a different community, even if that teacher is from a different faith. And here it's quite clear he refers to the Greeks. So he says that you should be able to take the books or the knowledge of these people, maybe sift through the knowledge, take what is appropriate and reject what is contrary to your religion, but you can still use it and build upon it. And here it's quite clear that he refers to the knowledge of the Greeks. Then he said, once you take that knowledge from the Greek, you can sift through and you can build upon, you can progress. So he has this idea of having a progressive building up of knowledge until ideally you can reach truth, perfection. So that's his point of view for Ibn Rushd, that you can use philosophy. You should use philosophy. And through that philosophy, you can achieve truth. And he says, if you were fearing, again, to go back on that critics against philosophy, he said, if you fear to use philosophy because people or philosophers might go astray, he said, to delve into philosophy is good in essence. It's something good, like you should use your mind. Allah is telling you to use it. Go ahead. But going astray is an accident. It's not something that is inherent to the philosophy. So he said you cannot use something that is inherently good because of some accident that happened to some people. He says it's like you drink water, you need water to survive, but you can drown in water. Because some people drown in water, would you forbid water to the people? No. You said water is inherently good, necessary for the people, and the fact that some drown in the water is an accident. Because of this accident, you cannot forbid people of using water. So similarly, philosophy for him is inherently good, and if people went astray because of philosophy, that's accident. These are accidents. And then he goes on to describe people are different aptitudes. Because people have different aptitudes, they have different ways to get closer to God. Like whether you go through the more spiritual side, you focus maybe on the more spiritual side of the religion, or more on the literal side of the religion, or you focus on verses that recommend you to be secluded, to live alone, or on verses that require or recommends you to live in society. There's different ways you can take different verses. And he says that this is normal. It's because people are different, and God is speaking to all of us together in the same book. And he ends up by saying that you should expect agreement between philosophy and revelation. That's the main assumptions. If you were to find contradiction between philosophy, so your rational thinking, today you'd say science. If you see contradiction between philosophy of science today and revelation, then you should interpret revelation. And that's where you see that he puts philosophy above the literal reading of the text. Because for him, if there's a contradiction, the reason, pure reason or perfect reason, ideal reason, is superior to your literal reading of the text. All right. I stop here with Fārābī, Ibn Ṭufayl, and Ibn Rushd. And now I open the floor for questions, inshallah, discussions. I don't know if that makes sense. That's how I've read the text. Maybe you have missed something. So please let me know what you think of the text, inshallah. Maybe because we never met each other. Can we introduce each other quickly in a few seconds? And if I can ask maybe you, Jilali, to introduce yourself first.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Jilali Abdelaziz. I'm living currently in Germany, but I am French and of Algerian descent. I am a remote sensing scientist.
And then Ghada, please. Jazakallah.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ghada. Yeah, that's all. I'm finished my PhD and in science. Okay, and I can say PhD in bioimaging and biophotonics, and Dr. Adrian was my PhD supervisor. Thank you.
And Noreen, please, if you can introduce us.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Noreen Khanum. I am working now. Like I did my PhD in material science in Spain until last year. Then I came back to my home in Bangladesh, and now I am working as a faculty in a university, like the university I was studying my bachelor, the same university. Now I am working as a lecturer. Yeah, that's all. I was very interested always in this, I found your this link from the science, Islam and science reading group from WhatsApp, but I never could like manage the time because the time zone is different. So always it was very difficult. But today somehow I like saw the message that the live was starting, so I just joined in. Thank you. I couldn't read actually, but I liked the I wanted to know what happens in these discussions, and I really appreciate that you make the time to do this kind of things, and I hope I can join in future and read also, and can join in the discussion as well. Today from my side I cannot really.
So maybe to give a broader context, like this part one was on looking at the relation between philosophy and rational philosophy and revelation religion, and the editors put a certain progression all the way through that part one. So the first few texts were authors who were like traditional Muslim scholars who were putting revelation on top, and reasoning being underneath revelation. And at the end of that part one, these last few texts, it's the inverse. These scholars prefer to put philosophy or rational thinking higher above literal reading of the revelation. But both across the spectrum agree that you shouldn't see contradiction between philosophy or between rational thinking and revelation. You should see agreement. But then how to solve the agreement differs between the people. So in these last texts, it's more about people, again, who put philosophy on the top. So that, I don't know, what do you think? Do you agree? You know, or,
yes, in fact, I do. I do, because to me, the way that I approach the Quran, to understand the Quran, not experience. The experience is something different. That would be more a taste, a Sufi thing. But I need to be rational to understand and to do tadabbur. When I read the Quran, I like to not only, for instance, go to the mujtahid, but I want also to reflect on the verses. And for that, I need rationality. And in my view, reason trumps revelation. So that's why I put above reason. So I would say I agree with those philosophers.
But then, so one of the texts, I forgot which one, if it's Ibn Ṭufayl or Ibn Rushd, he put some conditions on what you say. Like if you want to use reason to make sense of the text, he still put conditions. Like some of the conditions he mentions, like you should be knowledgeable about what has been said in the past, for example. Like you should be knowledgeable about scholars of the past. But then he doesn't describe how much knowledge is required or exactly what type of knowledge is required. I assuming that when you say reason, it's more scientific reasoning that you imply.
No, not really. I'm really talking about reason like Ibn Taymiyyah would use it. So Ibn Taymiyyah, I mean, he's the guy that weaponizes reason against what he would feel like loose religious people, like philosophers and so on. But it's really, I mean, Ibn Rushd is someone that is wonderful. I mean, there is a common point between Fārābī and Ibn Ṭufayl. Here, the discussion is that can we address philosophical matters, demonstration, when it comes to contacting, can we teach that to masses? Al-Amma, Ghada. Is it clear? Al-Amma? So, yeah. For the background, I must say, let me give you an example. So we were talking about Ibn Rushd. Ibn Rushd has a wonderful, very short Arabic book called Fasl al-Maqal, the decisive treatise. Here he presents what you were talking about, the syllogism. If you are capable, you must philosophize. It's your duty. If you have that demonstration mindset, you need to use philosophy, reason. And the Greeks, by the way, he was calling them al-Qudama.
Okay. So
it's really funny. But in Fasl al-Maqal, you would be surprised as how he's clever. For instance, he destroys completely the notion, simple notion of ijma'. He takes an example. He says, regarding that matter, do you think that we can, for instance, go to all the ulama, see all the ulama, all the opinions of ulama of North Africa? He has demonstrations and demonstrations to destroy a very, let's say, common basics of Islam, a tenet like ijma'. He thinks that ijma' is impossible. So do whatever you want. But yeah, the common point between all of those philosophers, in my view, is that demonstration is not accessible to anybody. So you need to be knowledgeable. You need the background. You can't be. So for persons like Ibn Rushd, an imam would be someone who would be at the level of dialectic. So meaning the difference between philosophy and dialectical discussion would be, okay, you can argue, I argue back and forth. But philosophy is another level. And he thinks that Quran calls upon us to do so if we have the capacity. Well, Quran addresses people, he says, لِيَسْمَعُونَ لِيَتَفَكَّرُونَ and there is a progression. It was noticed by a Tunisian scholar. He died a few years back. But really, the Quran is calling for using reason.
So maybe when you say he puts philosophy above dialectic reasoning, because in the text of Al-Fārābī, maybe they refer to different things, but he says that dialectic philosophy is the precursor of demonstrative philosophy. Like, so by dialectic philosophy, I understand it's like you have a topic, you look at the thesis, the antithesis, and you have a synthesis.
Yes.
That's how you arrive at something that is closer to the truth. From that, then you can derive, or you can perform demonstrative philosophy. So he put it above philosophy as a precursor, as the origin of philosophy.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all, because for certain, regarding Ibn Rushd, philosophy is at the top, meaning it's the art of demonstration. You're talking about الراسخون في العلم, those who are in the Quran rooted in knowledge. And الراسخون في العلم, you know about the interpretation. So some Salafi literalist interpretation would say that الراسخون في العلم, that is in the Quran, is, we're talking only about here Islamic scholars.
Mm-hmm.
But others think that philosophers, I don't know, scientists are also الراسخون في العلم. So what do you authorize? What are we talking about? So interpretation here diverges. But people who can reason by demonstration in the mind of Ibn Rushd are الراسخون في العلم. So they have a big, huge background.
Yeah. So then to come back on the question I asked, like what are the conditions? Like how much background do you need to be able to then interpret the text or try to solve?
No, but I think, I don't know, Ghada, maybe Noreen, you want to but today what I see, I see that we don't have that many Islamic scholars that present themselves as someone who do ijtihad, or we're lacking people. So people, you don't need to be and to compare yourself to Al-Qadi al-Quddat. So that's the name of Ibn Rushd, the judge of the judges.
Mm-hmm.
Qadi. So he was a doctor. He knew about medicine, astronomy, and so on. But he was a Qadi. And people named him Qadi al-Quddad. He was from a great family of people knowing very well Islamic sciences. But you don't need to have that background. You need a very strong background. But I don't think that. So today, people, we're stuck in taqlid, basically. We're stuck with the old interpretations. I'm okay with that, but we need to do something about it. Otherwise,
Oh. So would you think it's because knowledge has broadened so much that it's hard to know a bit of everything? And people tend to be more specialized, like either in religious sciences or in natural sciences or in, I don't know, other sciences.
In my view, it's a problem, because in Islam we tend to see the whole world as something that is coherent, harmonious, because it's put with the laws of nature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in the universe, the regularities and so on. But I don't have any certainty, but everything. So those philosophers, this is just a personal view, but Hayy ibn Yaqdan, I can tell you about it. I don't know if you read Hayy ibn Yaqdan.
Yes, that's the story between Hayy, Absal, and Salman.
Yeah, but did you read the jewel?
Only the portion that was in the text.
Okay. I recommend to everyone, this is in the Islamic literature, Islamic culture, one of the greatest jewel that we do have. I can tell you just an anecdote. For instance, Hayy ibn Yaqdan begins with the story of Hayy. Hayy, we don't know if he pops up on that island, really literally pops up, or if he's the reject of a princess who let's say, like Moses, she just got rid of him, and he ends up in an island. So the beginning of the story of Hayy is what? Two stories, two different possible stories. And the meaning, okay, my interpretation of the beginning is whatever the beginning is, either you're coming from the biogeochemical reactions of Earth to creation, or the biogeochemical reactions that your mother, who you got there by a natural way. It doesn't matter. What matters is the amana. What matters is the divine that is blown your soul. So Hayy ibn Yaqdan is something of another level. The story of Hayy ibn Yaqdan, and I could tell you more about that, but I will stop. And it's.
I mean, that's a bit maybe a tangent, but I'm still interested about the story of Hayy because I haven't read it entirely. Do you think that Ibn Ṭufayl was already wondering whether Adam alayhi salam was created through direct divine action or through some other type of processes?
I can't put words into Ibn Ṭufayl's mouth, but I would say for him, it doesn't really matter. Because of the importance of the responsibility, we receive the soul, we receive that amana. So, and Hayy, really the development he discovers by himself through the laws of nature. So he was that story, we don't know exactly the root, but through a philosopher, a European one called Spinoza, who probably had a translation of Hay, it transited till the UK, and probably it inspired Defoe book Robinson Crusoe. So it's really it's something wonderful to read and very complex, and it tells you the story of that of Hay, how he lost his mother. So his mother was, you know the story or not?
No, I don't know. I don't know if you, Nourin or Ghada knows, but I don't.
No, I don't know.
Okay, his mother was a doe. So he was, comment on dit une biche?
A deer?
A deer. So his mother, so we don't know how he ended up on that island, but a deer took care of him. And one day the deer died. And he was wondering, he was lost, completely lost. How come? What was... so it's like the story of Tarzan.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's the inspiration, in fact. And so he starts to cut his mother. He tries to understand. He tries. And this is the influence of what he read from Ibn Sina, a philosopher. But he's also influenced by Al-Ghazali. Though that's why at the end he ends up with knowing about religion without knowing about religion. He sends gods. So it's so complex. At the beginning, after his mother dies, the deer,
Mm-hmm.
he wants to dominate nature, and then he learns that he can't. So there is almost an ethical, ecological message in his attitude. He realizes that if he kills everything that is around him, if every plant he takes, he needs to replace it. He realized many things, and these are stages of 7 years. This has a meaning for Sufis and so on. But in the end, he's all for nature, he's all for the celestial bodies, and he discovers some rituals by himself. That's how he starts to feel that something is more profound, deeper, something that is beyond him. He doesn't call him God because he doesn't know, he doesn't speak, in fact. But when Absal and others came to visit his island, they take time to teach him the language and so on. So he starts to explain himself. So he's an example of someone who discovers basic, very essential, non-written rules. But his behavior is very common to someone who is a true believer, who received revelation and so on. So he learned from the book of nature. That's the story behind it. Huh?
No, I'll check if they have an English version of it. Subhanallah.
And it's really more richer than that, because there are themes like, is the universe eternal or not? And those kind of questions he answers along the way. And you have to deduce from the story that for Ibn Ṭufayl, incidentally, it doesn't really matter. And he does a sort of demonstration. He explains why it's no bother for him. So it's really rich. That bit of Hayy ibn Yaqdan, I mean, people are writing theses on this Islamic jewel.
So I guess maybe what I really appreciate through this text is to see how much freedom they had of freedom of thought they had. They were not scared to think differently from the masses and to suggest things that maybe go against their peers. Compared to today, as you said, we mostly following just previous scholars, and we're quite shy in proposing any new ideas. And whenever someone do propose, they're shunned away quite quickly. So that's what I appreciate in these texts. And it goes like, I mean, the whole part one of that anthology shows that you had quite distinct opposite position. Some would put revelation at the top, and others, like these Ibn Ṭufayl, Ibn Farabi, or Al-Fārābī, they put philosophy on top.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they really put philosophy on top, but for them, reason, it's not that it comes first. Really, Ibn Rushd, he's a proper Islamic scholar, and Qadi Quddat, I mean, but he wants, yeah, he really. He really wants to be able to interpret some verses of the Quran metaphorically, which always bothered the literalists or Salafi-minded people.
So he does. What is he saying? So yeah, he mentioned about those well grounded in science. That's what you mentioned before. And these are the ones to interpret and reconcile the both reason and the revelation.
Yeah, you see that verses of the Quran, if you can read it, it's very interesting. I forgot about it, but depending on if you make a pause during it's about these verses of the Quran. We can find it later on. I forgot the reference precisely. Maybe he's given it. So the question is that who knows the truth? God and الراسخون في العلم. But if you don't pause, only God knows the truth, and the others. So really the interpretation of the verse completely transforms if you pause or not.
I see. So either you read the verses all at once, or you make a pause.
Yeah. So,
which is funny. Subhanallah. Again, it's another tangent. But last month we were reading. Who was it? Al-Fārābī, Ibn Arabi, and Ibn Arabi takes the verse that talks about monasticism as a justification for monasticism in Islam. It's like this verse, I don't know if you know the verse, but it's like talking about the Christians and how they started developing monasticism and corrupted religion. And as you said, it depends where you stop in the verse. But if you just read it into two parts, like the Christian developed monasticism, that's one. And it seems, if you stop here, it seems to be authorized, to be even welcomed by God. But they corrupted it. That's how he reads it. So he reads it as
it's a very, in the discussion, I could say, well, so those philosophers, they are asking about which one trumps which one. Is the revelation trumps, does the revelation trump reason, or reason trumps revelation? I don't know how to answer that, but I have my idea. There are very important questions in Islam, like who got the authority? Maybe that's a very important point when it comes to discussing Islam and science, for instance. There are multiple questions. The other day, I was just reading a bit of Riyad al-Salihin. These are, I mean, I found a hadith on that was basically saying if someone gives you basilicus, don't refuse it. This is authentic hadith. I don't know what to say about that. How come this hadith is in the middle of?
Well, with
we need to think about that. Huh? These are related. So today, the heritage. I don't know what people want. I saw you posted recently something about the people of Ad, a comment from
yes,
but I didn't take the time to read the comments. But did you read the Muqaddimah from Ibn Khaldun?
just the portion that was in reported in the other book.
Yeah, because it took me 1 year to read the Muqaddimah. And all people who read it, it took them 1 year. Anyway, I mean, his demonstration is crazy.
In which sense?
In which sense? So to him, giants, they don't exist. He demonstrates that. He has quotes from his book. I went, I saw the homes and so on. Homes are very little homes. There is no way that giants exist. People knew science, knew mechanical engineering, so that's how they built up pyramids, or they built up. So he goes on in demonstrations. He's backed up with documents and so on, the research he's done. I mean, Muqaddimah is something crazy as well.
So what I remember in that discussion, what I appreciate with Ibn Khaldun is that he uses for him the science he has at his time to even contradict some of the hadith that have been authenticated.
Yeah.
That's why for me it's quite strong. It's like if today you use modern science and you say that hadith cannot be taken literally because modern science claims it.
I mean, I mean, these guys are crazy. They are doing, subhanallah, they're not. But for instance, if you recount him, I don't know, in the book he demonstrates for this battle, I don't know which one, whatever battle. So people are saying that there were 1,000 guys and soldiers engaged and so on. But he goes on to go to the registries, to the records, and he bases his research on the quantity of food that was available during the battle and so on. And he deduces that the number that we know about the soldiers is totally wrong. You see the way that he uses and he talks about many things. But yeah, I think today, we don't have it.
Oh, but then okay, so let's say these people were great, cool. But and it would be nice to have that type of people again today to revive a bit the understanding of religion in our context. Then, if you cannot have a single person to achieve that status, could you go, as Professor Dajani suggested, to have a community of thinkers from different sides, having like religious scholars, scientists coming together to then derive new rulings?
I don't know. I mean, what can I say today? For very simple things like how to rule out that the Hilal, it's impossible to see the start of the Ramadan and so on. we know the physics of that very well. We compute it very precisely. We only have problems with the meteorites, meteorology, basically. Do we have a clear sky or not just to see? So some did studies between, I think, the 70s and the 90s. They demonstrated that in Saudi Arabia, we had an error of 76% in the estimation of the start of this festival. This is not acceptable.
No.
And this, we know all the hadith, sumu li ru'yatihi wa aftiru li ru'yatihi, meaning perform the sawm when you see it, and stop Ramadan when you see it. But some ulama said that this ru'ya, perception, is something related to the faculty, the brain, the rationality. So that's why we can interpret. We can go beyond that. We have the computations. We have, and even in the past, it seems that I heard some. There is a Yasir Qadhi.
Mm-hmm.
I heard him say that in his view, some scholars at the 13th century and so on were stating that calculation is more precise than looking by the eye. It's not something new, but today it's really a problem. Huh? Sometimes in the very same family in France, people start Ramadan, others they wait.
Yeah, subhanallah. But yeah, I guess for this issue, it depends how you interpret, like if it's a physical sighting or if it's calculation, and then who has to see it first? Is it Saudi or is it your country?
Oh, there are, but we need rules. There are rules. We have astrophysicians who discussed with the ulama, Islamic scholars. Everything is here. We just need to adapt. We need to adopt something. But sometimes you can see in the very same town, at least I can in France, in Paris, you can see people doing Ramadan, others don't. So they have 1 day of difference. Sometimes we celebrate Eid on different.
I remember in the US, it's for that particular issue on the start of Ramadan and the end for the Eid. In the US, it's all based on calculations because they cannot allow themselves to rent a hall for the festivities for 2 days in case it's 1 day or the other.
That's the point of Sheikh Dr. Yasir Qadhi.
Yeah, because he's American. That's why for them, that's the position of ISNA, the Islamic Society of North America.
I think he's right because, I mean, it's impossible with the modernity. I mean, if you're not living in a Muslim country, I'm sorry. This year, so from Germany, I wanted to celebrate with family. I had to go back to Paris. Okay, I did the bet. I estimated myself, but it would be better to have a calendar because sometimes I'm really stuck. I can't take days off.
I see, for holidays.
I mean, I need to some planification ahead.
No, subhanallah. I know here, I live in the UK in Sheffield, they follow Saudi, so they're just waiting for Saudi to announce, regardless what they announce. That's really, I guess, European thing to do. And no, subhanallah, but yeah, I guess that's one
so
of the...
we need to agree on something, but I'm quite positive. I'm quite, I see every day people, they do their thing. Muslims, they live their lives and so on. They for themselves, they interpret how they do the interpretation for themselves. I mean, they manage. We manage.
And I would say that that's the purpose of being able to relate to the Quran, is for you to make sense of it in your own life. Maybe not to give rulings for others, because in that case you may need to have a different status, but for yourself, why not? You should have a relation with the Quran and make sense of it yourself. And the Quran is quite appropriate for that. There's so many examples you can relate to. You have now. Now, inshallah, then I don't know. I don't hear much of you, Ghada and Nourin. What do you think about the use of reason?
Yeah. Well, if you ask me, do I need a philosopher to understand my religion? Well, that depends actually, because I believe most Muslims throughout history, the primary source for understanding the religion of Quran is Quran itself, and al-Hadith, and the tafsir. Philosophy can sometimes be helpful for exploring, certain intellectual questions. For example, free will, ethics, argument about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existence, as you mentioned, such as Ghazali, I think Ibn Rushd. One day I read something about Ghazali. He criticized part of Greek influenced philosophy while still engaging with philosophical method. So that's complicated, quite complicated. But my goal to understand Quran or my religion, of course, or I mean, what's its message. So it's easy just to read tafsir or hadith, but philosophy is not requirement here. But if my goal to examine deeper theological or intellectual questions, so that's philosophy can be useful tool here. So that depends or what kind of understanding you are looking for. I mean, basic meaning, theological questions, scientific. So that's depend on that. Yeah.
Okay. So if I understand, it's like you'll give, you'll value philosophy for certain questions. So
yeah, just certain questions. But if I want to go deeper, so I have other tools, simpler actually, they're like a tafsir or hadith. Philosophy usually go deeper. I mean, understanding, as I said, free will, existence, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala existence, that sort of thing.
But Ghada, if I may, I think Islamic scholars, even today, those who produce ijtihad or...
Yeah, I appreciate all what they have done.
They must be philosophers. They are philosophers. Philosophy is just deeply thinking about something.
Like Ibn Rushd. So we can classify him as a philosopher. But to be honest, not everyone reading about Ibn Rushd books, because this is not their priority, So most of people, I'm talking about myself, sorry. So because of the rhythm of life, maybe, so that it take a long of time to understand every single word. So that's or maybe some people are interesting to read more about this way. So about myself, I appreciate their work. I understand some of their works, but I think other people like more, go deeper, about their knowledge. They need to understand more. Like a science, So some people read more about the plants, or they have no any interest about plants, for example. So that's depend on the mind itself.
But I think you're saying the very same thing as Ibn Rushd in the end.
Yeah, because Ibn Rushd, I think Ibn Rushd is, I would say they explain things easier than Al-Ghazali, I think. So I tried to read Al-Ghazali, but I found it just, I think not everyone very interesting in philosophy. Like, yes, I think that depends on people's mind.
But also, it's a pity because we read very old philosophers. I would like to read modern philosophers. We have, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I
have
see.
writers today, even today.
Because those people make basics, basics in philosophy about the religion. So that's if you want to go the basic or to the source, so go to those people. Ghazali, Ibn Rushd.
That is interesting because I follow also the field of philosophy of science, and that is developing regularly. Like you have current philosophy of science, and they propose new ideas, but in philosophy of religion, they don't.
Yeah.
Vast majority of philosophy of religion just study what has been written like a few hundred years ago. That's it.
Yes, it's like a religion. Literature review. So you have to go back the first one, and yes, I appreciated the work, by the way.
You didn't finish your sentence. Sorry, I didn't get it.
Sorry? Yeah, that's because it looks like a literature review. So you have to go back the first one, the second one, because those people talk about the religion. So but they are both the basics.
So, but then the question I have is like, what prevents someone from proposing maybe new ideas? It's quite difficult to imagine that no philosophers today have an idea that might be slightly different compared to the people of the past. It's just stagnating. There's no development.
Maybe we need the philosophy, modern philosophy. So understand the nowadays, because most of the scholars is not going with the modern. I don't know. So that's why most people like me don't like it to read philosophy, because we need someone explain nowadays, not the old one.
Okay. It's not relevant anymore.
Yes, that's that's why we need modern philosophy. So we don't have modern philosophy. That maybe the newest one from 100 years ago.
The only person I have in mind who proposed something a bit new in Islam is the Muhammad Iqbal, the Pakistani scholar. He's the only one I read that has a position slightly different. But again, when I if the few conferences I had the chance to attend on philosophy of science, most of the talks are about people in the past, like this anthology, and only one of the talk was about Iqbal. So it's really the minority. And again, Iqbal was what, Second World War, so it's still 70 years ago.
So old.
Well,
we need updated one.
So I know quite a few, but again, they are not really proposing something new. Or no, okay, I shouldn't say this. They were proposing some new ideas, but they were, it's not much.
Yeah.
I would say we have quite a huge deal of scholars today that are that have proposed new ideas and so on with a mix of social modern sciences and so on. The problem is that their work is not well read and received in the Muslim world. That's it. I think we have people. Adnan Ibrahim is very interesting. There is really French scholars, Algerian ones from Egypt, but those people, they were silenced or targeted, or their ideas not really accepted. Their modern take didn't.
Okay.
I think in few years you will read about these people that you are talking about now, because always this kind of thing is like they are not well accepted because they talk about the things in a different way and people don't want to accept that in that period of time. Like Ibn Rushd or this kind of people, they also were not always well accepted at their time.
Oh.
But they had been like people read about them or like about their work after years, maybe they passed away or something. Like it's always, I think, the problem that when you are in that era, you don't accept a different point of view, but after some years, you accept their point of view. I think this is the problem. Like always, like the Pakistani scholar Iqbal, Muhammad Iqbal, he was also not well accepted in many regards in Pakistan as well, and still people don't accept his point of view in many ways. So I think like it's like partially you accept some of the things and then you don't accept about their work. Like it always goes on.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, most probably they were facing the same issues than these people in the past, like Ibn Rushd, Ibn Ṭufayl. Maybe they were also shunned away at that time. But now we realize that there might have been some, I don't know, some good thinking still within it. The people you mentioned, Jilali, the scholars are writing mostly in Arabic, I suspect.
Some of them in Arabic, but other in French, in English as well. There is the case of, I'm searching the name, I read a few books from him. He did his PhD thesis on Ibn Arabi. I forgot, he died, I forgot, maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago. So this scholar was working on the interpretation of the Quran, and his work wasn't well received at Al-Azhar. So they thought his book was something very bad and so on, and they judged him without reading his book. Can you believe that? What a shame. And they declared him non-Muslim anymore.
Oh.
So he had to divorce from his wife, and he left Egypt, and he went to Holland, where he got the chair of Ibn Rushd at the university. Long story short, in fact, the problem was not his ideas, who were very good and so on. The problem is that at some point in the Egyptian government, they incited the public to give their gold and money and some they wanted people to take mainly jewels from the public, and the government was proposing a return on investment of 200% and so on. And this scholar only said, this is not Islamic. this is something that nobody can take in, but people for money they sometimes they go crazy. I mean, some need money and so on. But so that was the reason that Al-Azhar judged him and in such a way. And so this is how we lose people. But this guy had great ideas about Islam. He did a fantastic job on Ibn Ṭufayl, and then he developed his philosophy and so on. But he was never accepted, which is something really heartbreaking. So sometimes you have stories like this one.
So if you have names and titles, that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm searching the name. I just can't. For example, someone who is really controversial is the Syrian scholar Muhammad Shahror.
I don't know.
About Muhammad Shahror.
I don't know his work.
Yeah. So he wrote about Islam and evolution, many things, in fact. But he was perceived like a mulhid, really, like someone outside of Islam. And we're talking about people who are proper Muslims, praying and so on, but still they are accused of horrible things. And most of people who are accused of horrible things, they never read them. That's also an issue.
Okay. So then, what would be the way forward? To still try, if you were like, to come back on what Khada said, like if you like philosophy, you still just have to go ahead, regardless what it costs, or try to find a community that can support you.
Okay, I will send. So the Islamic scholar I was talking about is Nasser Hamid Abu Zaid. Maybe Ghada or Nourin, you know him.
No.
You should add Dr. Mustafa Mahmoud also.
Ah, very great, yes.
Yeah.
Well, we have many, I would say. We have many. Muhammad Shahror. Okay, they died recently. Muhammad Shahror. And many others.
And Ghada, you said, what was it?
Dr. Mustafa Mahmoud. Dr. Mustafa Mahmoud.
Egyptian, I guess.
Yes, Egyptian, yeah. Actually, very, very interesting. You have to read his book. Even he, has channels on YouTube. If you bought it, Dr. I will send you a link. Wait a minute. This Mustafa Mahmoud. In English, yeah, there's. So from Amazon, I think. Dialogue with. This book is very important or very famous in Egypt. So if you would like to read this one.
Have you sent the link? Oh, not yet. I didn't receive it.
Not yet.
Yeah, because I have a lot of things. Just yes. Link. Okay, so I will send you his books. Okay, his books.
Inshallah, yes. I'll be happy. I'll be happy to check. Then,
that's one.
Horrocks, Bleach. I forgot. I remember that name from maybe a year ago, but I forgot your real name.
Yeah, this is for Zod. I'm the one that recommended the book on the heights of the Prophet Adam a while back.
And your name, sorry?
Farzad.
Shazad. Yeah, I'm sorry, but we'll finish in 2 minutes. Sorry.
Okay.
But no, so I read the book, The Height of Adam, and that's where I read about Ibn Khaldun using empirical data to contradict authenticated hadith, which I found quite interesting for a traditional scholar, to use empirical data to go against like something that has been authenticated. It was really interesting. Anyway,
I'll send you this books. Sorry, because I have Arabic actually, but this may be very interesting. If you have how to send this? Where is the chat box? Chat box.
Bottom right of your screen.
No, I don't have.
I have a
Maybe because outside the day.
So at the bottom right, I have a lock symbol, like the 9-dot symbol, and then the chat box. Does that make sense?
No, I don't have. Really? Maybe because outside the day.
University? I don't know. I mean, send me an email and I can send it.
Yes, I can send you an email, yeah.
Or put it in the group, because you're in the group. So put it in the group, it might be easier. Like this, we all have it directly.
Okay.
In the WhatsApp.
No problem. I will send you this link.
Yeah, that would be good, inshallah.
Right.
Shahzad, I don't know if you have something to discuss about these readings in just to give you the floor, but otherwise I'll wrap it up, inshallah.
I was more so just keen on listening in to what other people's insights may have been. But yeah, you guys wrap it up.
Inshallah. So I record the discussions. So I'll try to put them online, inshallah. I just have to edit them slightly, and then we can put them online. And then you can always follow up on the YouTube channel, inshallah. But with this, then if I can wrap it up, Jazakallah khairan again. So we are done with the part 1 of philosophy of religion in Islam. We are done with this. Next month we will start. I don't have it here. I have it at home. So next month we'll jump to philosophy of science. And the way I'll go ahead, I'll maybe put again 3 texts for each discussions, just to go 3 by 3. And to finish the part 1, to go through the part 1 of philosophy of science. And like this, we'll keep switching between philosophy of religion, philosophy of science. And hopefully we'll go through the whole ontology in 2 years, inshallah. So I hope you enjoy. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. We're always to improve.
Jazakallah khairan. Jazakallah.
Okay. Do you actually mean 2 years, or is that a joke? Because I already read probably like 500 pages of it.
I mean, I calculated if I go for each discussion 3 texts per month, and there's about 100 texts in each, it will take more than 2 years. It will take. But it's all right. I enjoy it. I mean, yeah, I read it faster for myself, of course. I enjoy it, but for the discussions, I cannot really ask people to read more than 3 texts. It's already a lot, and some of these are dense. But inshallah, they are good, and I have hope. I mean, to be honest, it's mainly for myself. I want to know more about philosophy, that type of philosophy. And through this discussion group, I'm forcing myself to read and to reread the text, which is quite useful. So I hope you enjoy it too. And I hope you follow up with it. But Jazakallah khairan with this. I'll wish you a nice, the 11th of Muharram?
You too.
So I hope you enjoy this blessed day. inshallah. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you very much. Thank you.
مع السلامة.
مع السلامة.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
Alaykum assalam.